In December 1989, thousands of people working in AIDS research received an unexpected package in the mail. Inside was a black floppy disk. Its label read, AIDS Information Introductory Diskette. At the time, the AIDS epidemic was terrifying the world. Researchers, doctors, and organizations urgently needed reliable information. And this disk appeared to offer exactly that. It promised an educational program containing information about AIDS, along with a questionnaire that could assess a person's risk. It looked legitimate. It looked useful. And so, recipients placed the disk inside their computers. At first, it worked exactly as promised. The program opened normally. It displayed information about AIDS and asked users a series of questions. They completed the questionnaire, closed the program, and returned to work. Nothing appeared damaged. No files disappeared. No warning appeared. But hidden inside the program was another set of instructions, and those instructions were waiting. The program did not reveal itself immediately. Instead, it counted every time the computer started. 1 start, 10, 25, 50, 89. Then, after approximately 90 starts, it activated. File names were altered. Directories became inaccessible. Important information appeared to have vanished. Users pressed keys, restarted their computers, and searched desperately for their files. But then, a message appeared. To regain access, they were instructed to send payment to a post office box in Panama. The amount demanded was $189. The useful medical program had never been what it appeared to be. It had entered the computer disguised as something trustworthy. It had waited quietly inside, and only after crossing the computer's defenses did it reveal its true purpose. The program became known as the AIDS Trojan. But why a Trojan? Why name malicious computer software after an ancient city that existed thousands of years before computers? Because this was not the first time danger had entered through a gift. To understand the name, we have to travel back more than 3,000 years, to the legendary city of Troy. According to ancient Greek tradition, Troy was protected by enormous stone walls. Outside those walls stood a Greek army. The Greeks had ships, weapons, and some of the greatest warriors in mythology. But they could not capture the city. The war continued for 10 long years. Soldiers grew older, weapons broke, thousands died, and Troy's walls remained standing. The Greeks did not need a stronger army. They needed a way to make the Trojans open the gates themselves, and one commander believed he knew how. His name was Odysseus, king of the island of Ithaca. He was not the strongest Greek warrior. He was not the fastest, but he was known for something far more dangerous: his intelligence. Odysseus proposed a weapon unlike anything the Greeks had used before. Not a larger army, not a stronger sword, a gift. The Greeks constructed an enormous wooden horse. Its body was hollow. Inside, a small group of Greek soldiers would hide in complete silence. The remaining army would dismantle its camp, board its ships, and appear to sail away. To the Trojans, it would look as though the Greeks had finally surrendered. All that would remain outside the city was the horse. When morning came, Trojan scouts found the Greek camp abandoned. The ships had disappeared, weapons and tents had been left behind, and standing alone near the city walls was an enormous wooden animal. After 10 years of war, the enemy appeared to be gone. The Trojans gathered around the horse. Some believed it was an offering to the gods. Others saw it as proof that Troy had finally defeated the Greeks. But not everyone trusted it. According to the famous tradition, the Trojan priest Laocoon warned his people, "Beware of Greeks bearing gifts." He believed the horse should be destroyed. The Trojans argued, was it a sacred offering, a symbol of surrender, or one final Greek trick? They had protected their gates for 10 years. No enemy had been able to force a way through. But now, overcome by relief and victory, the Trojans opened the gates themselves. Ropes were tied around the wooden horse. Hundreds of people pulled. Its enormous wheels began to turn. And the weapon the Greek army could never force into Troy was carried inside by the Trojans. That night, Troy celebrated. Torches filled the streets. Music echoed between the buildings. People drank, danced, and thanked the gods for ending the war. Above them stood the wooden horse, silent, motionless, apparently harmless. But inside it, Greek soldiers were waiting in darkness. They could hear the celebration outside, every voice, every footstep, every guard passing below them. They could not speak. They could barely move. They waited as the music became quieter, as the fires burned lower, as the streets emptied, and eventually, Troy fell asleep. Under the cover of darkness, a concealed panel in the horse began to open. A rope dropped toward the ground. One soldier climbed down, then another, and another. The Greeks moved silently through Troy's streets. They killed or overpowered the guards protecting the gates. Then they pulled the enormous doors open from within. Beyond the walls, the Greek army was waiting. The ships had not sailed home. They had only hidden beyond sight. The Greek forces entered the city. Troy's walls had never been broken. Its gates had never been defeated. Its defenses had simply been bypassed. Troy had carried the weapon inside itself. Centuries later, computer experts used the name Trojan Horse for software that follows the same strategy. A computer Trojan presents itself as something legitimate, a useful application, an interesting attachment, a software update, or an important document. But hidden inside is a purpose the user cannot see. Like the wooden horse, it does not need to smash through the defenses. Its greatest weapon is deception. The Trojans trusted the horse enough to pull it through their gates. Computer users trust a file enough to open or install it. In both stories, the target unknowingly allows the threat inside. That is why the 1989 program became known as the AIDS Trojan. It appeared helpful. It concealed its true purpose, and it attacked only after it had been welcomed in. Odysseus's plan helped end a war that had lasted 10 years. But victory did not bring him peace. Across the sea, his wife Penelope and his young son were waiting on the island of Ithaca. The journey home should have taken only a few weeks. Instead, it took another 10 years. Odysseus would encounter a one-eyed giant, a sorceress who transformed men into animals, voices capable of luring sailors to their deaths, monsters waiting on both sides of the sea, and a god determined to stop him from ever reaching home. He would lose every ship under his command, every man who sailed beside him, and when he finally returned to Ithaca, he would arrive alone and disguised as a beggar. The trick that destroyed Troy was only the beginning of Odysseus's story. Watch the next part to discover the journey we now call the Odyssey.